Today is October 24th, and the World Series starts tomorrow. Whether or not you're looking forward to it, we can hang out here. We got about an hour to pretend the Pirates are relevant on a day like today. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and well, Jake, this guy is slacking on us, man. He's slacking. I think he's working or something. Who needs to do that stuff? He's at football games. He's at weddings. He's working. What are we doing? I don't know. Dude, Pitt is killing it right now. Wild. 31-0 at halftime. It's wild. Thanks for tuning into the show. World Series starts
Friday.
So let's go. Jake's slacking again. I know, Doug. I know. Slacking again. Bucko Mike's here, or was here at least. We got some creeping in here. So, World Series starts tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We kind of have to. Pirates are already starting to sign players. Cue laughter. And of course, Ron says Jake works for State Farm. And for some reason, I'm clicking on the wrong screen. That's why. I was like, why can't I click on that? Clicking on the wrong screen. Here we go. Good start. Got another Boylan's cream soda for those wondering. Got a couple more of these today. I'm gonna save all my Boylan's cream soda for the podcast. There we go. There we go. Max says hi, Dad. Hi, Max. Go to bed. Okay. Oh, first of I don't know how many trick or treat nights, but I don't know. So anyway, yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about an actual hiring, not really a signing of a player, an actual hiring. And then we'll do some fun World Series talk. I mean, the World Series starts tomorrow, so that's kind of the big deal. I know for some people, well, Pirates are this, Pirates are that, but man, World Series is always big, and we talked about it on Sunday. This one is about as big as it can get. Obviously, if the Pirates were in it, they would be shutting down a whole country to watch as well. But, you know, apparently Shohei Ohtani has some sort of effect on this. So, I mean, I don't know. I've heard some things that, like, they're not showing certain programming in Japan, like a new show or something that's being held. I don't know. I'm hearing all kinds of stuff. But either way, it is. I mean, it's Ohtani, who's never played in a World Series game. It's Aaron Judge, who's never played in a World Series game. It is. It's crazy. This is a big deal. I mean, they're probably going to be the MVPs in the American League and National League this year. So, I don't know. Very excited. Very excited to watch it. It's like different, right? We don't have those types of stories that we have sometimes going to the World Series. Instead, we've just got two heavyweights. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good one. And we'll do our picks. I got Jake's pick. I got it written down. So we will do picks. And we'll go from there. King Kong versus Godzilla, Doug says. Yeah. It's got that effect. What was Shark Week this year had a megalodon versus, I don't remember what it was, but yeah, it's like that. It's like that. All right, let's get started with some Pirates stuff. After all, that's, they're the most relevant thing. Actually, first off, minor league deal for Yohan Ramirez. And we're going to talk, oddly enough, we are going to talk about Yohan Ramirez right here. And then later on, we have something to say about Yohan Ramirez too. So if you're a sicko, you might know where I'm going with something later. But John Drecker put out there, Pittsburgh Pirates have hired Kevin Tenenbaum as their new vice president of research and development. He held the same job for Cleveland this year. Same job, seems lateral, same job. He was in Cleveland for 7 years and moving up. Like in the last couple of years, from what I read, he was like an analyst and then he went into another role and then made it to VP within I felt like it was back-to-back years that he made jumps. Like this dude's impressive. Where was that? Can I get there if I just go straight to teams? I feel like I read this. Okay, so he was the director in 22, and then VP in 23. I guess that doesn't say he moved to director in 22, but it seems like he made 32 years old. 32 years old. Doing good things. This guy has to be important. He has to be doing something in order to get, this type of attention to be moved over. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. But until then, I don't know. I don't know if you can be excited. It's a VP, research and development. Development is something that we can't miss on. And I don't know. Is this dude going to be able to innovate here? I know this job is mostly like, let's take a look at everything we have here and let's improve it all. So maybe there's pieces of that there. There are questions around this though. Like why, if it is a lateral move, okay, so they could have offered more money, something like that. But why take this? If you know that Sherrington has essentially said that him and Shelton are accountable together, right? And so it does kind of feel like, hey, this is it. We don't win, we're out. And if you don't win and you're out, and you're a VP of research and development, I don't know how much security that is. Now, I'm sure his resume is going to speak for itself. And so if you get another GM in here, they're probably not going to just let him go like that. It seems like this dude is pretty highly touted. And so I don't think so. Ron says, great. Another guy who analyzes mediocre to bad free agent picks. I don't think that's it at all. I think this is, you're looking at a lot of developmental successes in the organizations that he's been in. And he's been under a lot of people who've been doing a lot of that stuff, specifically for 7 years in Cleveland. And we've seen what they've been able to do with essentially the same kind of money that Pittsburgh's been able to do. You've seen what they've been able to do with bad ownership. You've seen what they've been able to do in a lot of the same circumstances by developing younger players. And they've had an issue with some hitters. Like Doug says, important qualification, proven. He's been good. So, I think that's it, man. I think that the thing is it may not make a difference for 25. This kind of a position is a long-term position, a long-term improvement. So it does make it interesting. Business is business, right? If Sherrington keeps his job, he's going to need people like this in place. So it's not like it's, why are you even focusing on it? Because sure, he can win in 25 and keep his job, but he's got to be able to win beyond that as well, or it wasn't worth it. So I don't know. I think there's a lot there. Cleveland is even recently starting to, you're seeing the Naylor brothers come up through them. You're seeing this big Christmas, Jhonkensy Noel. Roquillo is starting to kind of show up a little bit. There's some players, man. There's some players. Bucko Mike's in here. Yeah, I mean, there's some players that they've been able to kind of bring up on the offensive side, which seemed to be something Cleveland was having trouble doing, and it doesn't seem that way anymore. Kyle Manzardo is a big one. I know that he was mostly only with Cleveland for a year and a half now because he came over in a trade, but still, that doesn't matter, right? You still want to be able to get a guy and then move him to the next level, and it seems like they're able to do those sort of things and make differences in players. And obviously, nobody has to say anything about what they've done on the pitching side in the past 10 years, right? That speaks for itself. So, Ron, is this true? Now you got me thinking. Ron puts in the chat that Jhonkensy Noel was a Pirate prospect. Is that... I don't think I knew that. Is that real, or are you having some fun here? He's been with the Cleveland organization since he was 16. So maybe it was like a guy that they were looking to sign and they didn't get signed. Is that what you're saying? Or maybe there was another Noel that the Pirates had. Either way, I didn't even say Stephen Kwan. That's kind of a big one too. Completely different. I don't know how far that style of play gets you anymore. I mean, he scored the most runs on their team in the postseason, so it counts for something, right? Runs are runs. However you can get on base, however you can score runs is going to help. But either way, you also got to have the talent. So we're going to see a lot of things out there. So that's always a big deal. I'm still like, it's, I don't know. It's kind of lateral. I don't know. I don't know if there is more. I don't want to insinuate anything. So I don't want to insinuate anything. Maybe we shouldn't go into that. Maybe we shouldn't go into that. Maybe there's an assumption to be made about something in Cleveland. I don't know. Maybe there's some things happening there. I don't know. Maybe it's just opportunity. Maybe he says, well, if I can get in Pittsburgh, right, and make a lateral move, maybe walk up, maybe make a few extra bucks because they offered more money. You would do that, right? You'd make a lateral move in your job if there was more money involved. So if that's a part of it, but also like when you come into this and you say, well, yeah, but why would you enter a bad situation? I don't think it's necessarily that. They certainly have pitching all the way through. They have, you have an ability to make a difference in a certain area where the Pirates need this. And so if you feel like you're good at your job and you can make an impact, this would be a great situation to come into because you know that there's a lot of potential there and on its way. They've been able to do some things. Can you help with that development? And does that do something to where you're saying, I want this challenge? I mean, you guys have probably at some point taken on something, either a new job or something at your job where you've said, I want to do this because it'll challenge me. Maybe you haven't. I try to stay. I'm just kidding. But I don't know, man. Is it, hey, I see the way Pittsburgh does things, and, Ben Cherington has more than one assistant GM, right? They pick, it's almost like a way to promote people like, oh, well, you're in research and development. Cool. Here's an assistant GM in research and development. So you have a path to go up here. Maybe this guy has aspirations of being a general manager or something, and he sees the writing on the wall with Cherington and thinks, if I'm on the inside, I might have a leg up on that job. I don't know. But actually, look at this. Bucko Mike coming in with the same exact stuff. Faster way to be a GM and saying that he was blocked in Cleveland. So I think I thought about this first. I was like, if you're making a lateral move, sometimes that's opportunity. So I think that's there. James D, thanks, man. Appreciate that. He says, best baseball podcast out there. I love it. Thank you very much. Yeah, you can see Buck and Mike thrown in here. Francona's going to start getting his guys from Cleveland too. So it's going to be interesting to see Cleveland kind of in the next couple of years. They're going to lose some coaching. Obviously, a guy like Tenenbaum moving on. I assume there's other people in place there, and it's not, they'll be able to be fine. But yeah, it's really interesting. But it's also like I said, I don't know how excited you can be about a VP of research and development, but one of the things that we've talked about, with this whole organization, because you can say with the GM, but let's even go all the way to Nutting and the ownership group, is whether or not they care, which like I've stated on here, I think they do. I think they want to win. That's beside the point. Are they hiring the right people? Are they bringing in the right people? A lot can question that Shelty. Doug put in here earlier, the key guy next year is Shelty. Coaching gets them to 85 plus wins. So there's a piece of it where you say, was Derek Shelton the right guy from the very beginning? Was Ben Sherrington the right guy from the very beginning? These guys that you just let go, Andy Haynes, all these guys you can question and say, were these guys even the right guys from the very beginning? And if they're not, then then you could come with a criticism to say they hire poorly, they don't bring in talent, and we're talking about office jobs and coaching staffs and development teams and things like that. This feels like this is a good move. This is a guy who doesn't come without something to his name a little bit, if you know what I mean. This seems like a good hire. Like I said, I don't know how excited you can be about this, because it's one of those positions where externally, and every fan is, right? But externally, we'll never know. We'll absolutely never know if this made a difference or not. No, technically nobody will. You might be able to internally say wow, we would have never done this, and this is what maybe pushed this player to the next level or something like that. So there might be ways you can point to it and say he's implemented things or suggested things that gotten implemented or whatever that have made an impact on several players in the organization and moved them to the next step. So, I guess you could, but that's the kind of stuff that'll never make it to us. So this is one of those positions that he could just go through the motions, do his job, answer to Ben Sherrington and give him the information he wants. Or like I said, I think it's more than that, but you know what I'm saying. So I don't know. What is this, Doug? What I like about the situation is that Sherrington recognizes we better change crap. And that reflects likely in change in process. That's a big thing. I didn't even think about that. Bucko Mike puts in here, who does Tenenbaum bring with him? That's a good call. If he's got some super smart people that worked alongside him in Cleveland, that could be definitely on the table to say, I'm going to bring a few of these, smart guys and bring them over with me and really kind of get something going good. Like I said, it's probably going to take a couple years. It's good on Sherrington. He's betting on himself right now. He could have been on his way out and convinced them for another year. And the fact that he said, I want Shelton to stay, I was under the impression, I've said it before, that I think that's because he just basically didn't want to have to go through. He's got enough to worry about than to go through a managerial interview process as well on top of that. So I would think that that's why he's kind of going down that path. But yeah, they're obviously not finished. There's a lot more I guess not a lot more, because they didn't fire a ton of people, but there's more to come early in this offseason, maybe during the World Series. There's some things, maybe not. But I don't know. I'm interested to see the rest of the hires. Obviously, I don't care about the strength and conditioning coach. They can get whoever they want. The hitting coach to me is the big deal. Are they going to just promote from within? Will they actually bring somebody in? I don't know. But this seems like a really good hire. I don't know how to spin it any other way. You can be excited about it, or you can say, like, at least if nothing else, we acknowledge and we say, okay, this feels like a good one. I wouldn't jump too far into thinking that a ton of things are going to change yet. But it is a good hire. So there it is. And Yohan Ramirez to a minor league deal. So they're rolling right now. We're not even at the off season yet, technically. So I don't know. All right, let's talk a little bit about the World Series. I know. Well, we have nothing else to talk about. That's why I said in the opener that we're going to pretend for an hour that the Pirates are relevant. And we'll get back to the Pirates in a way. But put it in the chat for those of you who are in here. Are you watching the World Series or not? I think we can kind of project forward that this will be the most watched World Series in a long time. We also know that last year was one of the least watched World Series in the last 40 years or something like that. So this is completely different. The ratings will be astronomical. You're going to have the entire population of Japan tuned into this for sure. They've already, like I said earlier, and they've already talked about this. This is a big deal. You've got a ton of MVPs. I think Sarah Lang's, I haven't gotten to read it yet. Sarah Lang's put something out there about the list of MVPs and about 10 reasons why this World Series is so exciting. A lot of it is that MLB is just super excited about it because they're going to make a ton of money this year. And that's fair. Whatever. It's fair. They are going to make a lot of money. This is going to be good for the game. This is going to help with viewership. What I really hope is that MLB can take advantage of this opportunity to promote other players around the league during this time. And I know that sounds crazy, but there's ways to do it. There's ways to talk about, you've got Anthony Volpe, who's a former Rookie of the Year winner. You could talk about some of those guys. You can talk about some of the competition that Ohtani and Judge have. It would be so easy to say, Ohtani's going to win the MVP, but if he didn't have this season, I'm sorry, let's backtrack a little bit. Aaron Judge is going to win the MVP, but if he didn't have this season, Bobby Witt Jr. is a name you should know. This guy was a 9+ win player, blah, 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 blah. You can go all in. You could talk about the Yankees just passed up Cleveland to get here. You can talk about the fact that Cleveland is who they are, but they also have a Hall of Famer named Jose Ramirez on their team. You have an opportunity to bring up some of these other teams and just run ads. Run ads for MLB in any way you possibly can and highlight some of these players. And don't just show Ramirez hitting a home run. Put his name on the screen. Things like that. Get these guys out there. Promote. Put Bobby Witt Jr.'s name on the screen when you show a clip of him. Things like that. They've got to find ways to capitalize from a marketing standpoint on this World Series, because there's going to be a lot of people watching that that aren't paying attention to those guys. You put their name in there so at least they can say, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that person." I think it's good. So I see Doug says he's watching for his Yankees friends. Cheryl says she'll watch some of the series, but it won't be a priority. I'd like to see Garrett Cole. He'll be pitching Friday night. Garrett Cole and I think Flaherty are going Friday night. Should be actually probably the marquee pitching matchup of the whole series. Both of these teams, well, the Yankees starting pitching is in a little bit better shape than what the Dodgers starting rotation is. But I don't know. It's really, I think Freddie Freeman's going to be a big player in this. Like if he's healthy, this is a good for the Dodgers. If not, it's good for the Yankees. Obviously Juan Soto playing for some mega money. I don't quite think he's getting some of them. Like anybody who compares this to like the Ohtani thing, like it just can't be. It just can't. I mean, maybe he gets to 500 million, but crazy. So Ron says if Judge and Soto hit, the Yanks pitching staff gets them over the top. So that's the same sort of thing saying about the Yanks, and their pitching staff is in a little better shape than the Dodgers. If there was ever a time for Dave Roberts and all of his crazy bullpen moves that I think have gotten him in trouble in the past, if there's ever been a time to do it, it's now. It's now. It's actually working for him because the rotation, the starting rotation isn't there. And so, I think that's a big deal. Shared says, promoting is where MLB has failed. 6 MVPs and the common sports fans never heard of them. Yeah, I see that. I mean, specifically, some of the others, I don't know. Like, obviously, Judge and Ohtani, I think, are pretty much out there. But yeah, I mean, the other ones, Freeman and Mookie Betts, probably not. You're not talking about baseball fans. I mean, I can see that. You're saying the common sports fans. Like, if you're a baseball fan, then you know who Freddie Freeman is. You know who Mookie Betts is. Juan Soto's been all over the place. You know him. And Giancarlo Stanton's been around long enough that you probably have heard of him as well. But yeah, I mean, but I think that there's a lot of other players that, certainly aren't marquee names that a lot of people haven't heard of. So marketing is 100%. Promoting the game, MLB alone has come out and like they know this. They know they've been bad at this, right? And they've been trying. But I watched this Eric Hosmer and I can't believe this, Peter Moylan. They have a new podcast called Digging Deep, and they had Jimmy and Jake from John Boy on there, and I was watching that, and they were talking about MLB and the way that they used to just come at people every time they'd put a video up, and now it's not at all like that. They've been doing MLB just like I've put clips on this show occasionally, and it's never. I mean, obviously, I'm not making money on anything, but it's just not. I'm not even concerned at all. MLB gets it. They understand that they need to do better. They internally, Ron says that he agrees with Shared. MLB sucks at promo. They did well with Skeens other than that. But even the Skeens thing, MLB can talk about it internally, and they boost up their players internally. We all know Fernando Tatis and Soto and everything that happened in San Diego. But who's watching MLB Network is the question. And so if they're not out there getting it out other places, like, yeah, you can hear about all these guys on MLB Network. They're constantly talking about the guys that you want them to talk about. Jose Ramirez is not rarely talked about. Like he's a guy, and MLB Network doesn't hide that. But you'll never hear about hardly any of these guys on ESPN, on anything else. Like just running, like we see football ads on every channel all the time. Everybody knows who Tom Brady and LeBron James are. Not all know who Mike Trout is. That's Shared says that. Huge. It's huge. How do you not know? And it didn't used to be that way, right? Everybody knew who Ken Griffey Jr. was. Everybody knew who Barry Bonds was. Everybody knew who Randy Johnson was. All the guys. They all knew. Frank Thomas, you knew. But you're right. Like, all the years the Angels have had Mike Trout, Bucko Mike says. It is quite literally their weakest point. They are getting better with it. I want to see them take this thing to the next level. Whether it's during inning breaks or whether it's just in conversation, there has to be a point to bring up other players and to talk about not just what's going on in the game, but to talk about these guys and their careers and their trajectories and all of those things. Yeah, I saw this. Ron says MLB Network just this year started streaming. Huge. Because I was nervous going into this postseason. This is the weird way that we are. Because I live where I am, I'm still in the Pirates market. Like I'm close enough that I'm still in market. But none of like the local TV stations or satellite or most of the streaming stations don't recognize us as, or they don't provide. So AT&T Sportsnet, or what now is Sportsnet Pittsburgh, they don't provide any of that for you except for Fubo. So we get Fubo and we pay for Fubo during the whole summer, but Fubo doesn't have TBS. So as soon as the playoffs come, it's like, okay, well, now we have to switch to YouTube TV so we can get TBS. Oh, but YouTube TV doesn't have MLB Network. So for like a month, and it happens this way anyway, because when you pause one and pick up the other, it's like a weird thing. But I'll go a month with two services. My Fubo, I just got an email like 2 days ago that Fubo is done. And that would have really been like a bummed out day, because that would have meant MLB Network is gone. But now I have MLB TV. I always get it. I've got it since we moved. When we lived in Indiana for a year, I had MLB TV just so we could watch Pirates. And then I've renewed it every year, because anybody's throwing a no-hitter, I'm pulling it up. And now it's kind of double, because now it's like, oh, well, I can pull up MLB Network now live at any time and watch what's going on. I love that. So it is definitely getting better. Yeah, and this is also, Ron, this is also true. I've had MLB TV, and it was just games. Now they have pre and post game. So if the network allows, which Pittsburgh's does, you can get pre and post game along with your, just on the game broadcast. Like when you watch it, the pregame, it'll start early and show you the pregame, and then it'll play into the post game as well. So yeah, that's awesome. And it's, MLB's picking up on those sort of things. And Ron, you're not in market, so you can just watch everything on MLB TV and you're good to go. That's awesome. That's really the way to be. I mean, I'm sure that there's always teams that you're not going to be able to get. When we were in Indiana, we couldn't get the Reds, we couldn't get the Cubs, and we couldn't get the Cardinals. We were blacked out from all those, which is terrible. And here, I mean, we started watching it. I had to get a VPN. But yeah, it is what it is. So anyway, there's just a lot there. No Rays games for Ron. He doesn't get any Rays games. You're not missing. Not missing much there. But you won't get them to start off next year. Games 4, 5, and 6 are Rays games. Who knows where they'll be played, but they'll be Rays games. No, games 5, 6, and 7. We have 4 in Miami before going to play the Rays wherever we play them. So, yeah, I just think that I really hope so. Just to go back to that point, I really hope that they capitalize on this and that they're able to do not just marketing for the players that are playing in the game, but for the players who like play in their league, around the league, whoever it is. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't they be talking about Paul Skeens during the World Series at some point or another? Like they just should be. Absolutely. All right, so let's kind of get it out of there. This is a big, it's a big deal. And I said a little bit about this the other day. But this is the highest profile matchup we've seen in a while. You could go back to maybe like 2018 Dodgers Red Sox. That's a big one. 2009, last time the Yankees made it to the World Series, 2009 was Yankees Phillies, and Yankees won that. And then in 2000 was Yankees Mets, the Subway Series, the big series there. I don't know. Maybe some of the Cardinals ones. If you think back at some of the Cardinals one, you would have had like. They would have been in the World Series. They would have had Pujols and Scott Rowland. Who else would have played on those teams? I'm trying to think who else would have played on the Cardinals. Yachty would have been there. So, like, you're looking at, like, some Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame type players. I don't know that they would have been marquee names. Like Pujols and Yachty would have been real, like, marquee names back then. So I don't really know that would even stack up to what some of these other ones are. And 2004 Red Sox was kind of like, that was when they kind of bursted onto the scene, and you had, guys like Kevin Millar and Dave Roberts. And some of those guys weren't quite like, they weren't the big stars anyway. So the 2004 Red Sox team, big market, but they weren't the big stars like we're seeing. So I don't even think that would even compare when you compare it. Like I said, the players would have been good, but they wouldn't have been, for sure, not high dollar players because they were early in their career. But also, I don't think they had the recognition and the star power that they eventually had in their careers. Maybe those World Series gave them sort of, but most of these, like, these were big time matchups. And so I think this doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. The last time 2 number 1 seeds was 2013. It doesn't happen that much. And so as much as we want to pretend that it does, as much as we want to say, all you got to do is buy yourself a team, it just doesn't happen. And when it did back in the late 90s and all that stuff, when it was always the big name teams, I mean, I guess you could say like some of those Braves matchups, Braves, Yankees or whatever, but that was mostly in the 90s. But like once that happened for a few years, MLB kind of stepped in and said, we've got to change something. We've got to make a change. We can't keep having just the top payrolls make it every single year, or else we're going to have half a league not even trying. And they have changed it, and it's been good. Shared revenue came in, and it's made a difference. And there's been certain things that have happened to make the game better. And that's why, like, this series doesn't feel like, yeah, same old teams. It's not. Like, it's not that the Dodgers have won one World Series since 1988. And that was the 2020 shortened season, the COVID season. That's not even... They've been to some more. The Yankees haven't even been to one since 2009, since they started changing things. And so there's a lot here that's kind of like, this isn't... This is what you expect at the beginning of every year, but it never happens, right? You can pay for players and you can get more wins during the season and all that stuff. But I think it was Jeter that said you can buy a ticket to the World Series, but you can't buy a World Series. Like, you absolutely can't. Anything can happen. And that's even more so now that there's more games and more wild card teams. It makes it even more. I mean, it is. I don't like more teams personally, but I like more teams getting a shot once you get in, because it means that you're not going to get the same players over and over again. There is truth to that. It's been shown that, and I know that none of us want to hear it, myself included. There's part of you that says, nope, just let the big money teams win until they make a total change. The problem is, it's not there. It's just not there. It doesn't do that. What do I got here? 1988 had not returned to the World Series after 98. They did not return to the World Series until 17 and 18. They lost to the Astros and Red Sox, finally won in 2020. Haven't been back since. So, I mean, 3 other seasons, right? So it's not that long ago, but it's just proof that it just doesn't happen all the time. But anyway, they changed baseball. It got better. And I'm not going to get way deep into this, but I think we said last week, and I wish I knew who the quote was. I need to find this quote, but Moneyball died when the Dodgers started doing Moneyball. The Dodgers are now better than most at picking up waiver wires. I mean, Justin Turner's career, Max Muncy's career, they were given up by Turner multiple teams, just given up on. No good. Every time the Pirates make a waiver claim, we're like, oh, great. But like for the Dodgers, it produced Justin Turner and Max Muncy. Like that's wild. So they do that well. They draft well. They develop well. And they've got all the money in the world and they trade well. And when they do trade for somebody, they've got the money to just extend them. Look at Mookie Betts. And then on top of that, it's like, yeah, well, as soon as we start running out, we'll just go get Freddie Freeman and then go get Shohei Ohtani. Like, it's ridiculous. They can just do that. And so it's not fair to say, well, you can play the money game and you can actually play the analytics game and you can be a smart team and do right by baseball moves. And that's when the whole Moneyball thing, that's when the analytics just kind of was like, that's cool. We're doing the same things as the Dodgers, but we can't buy free agents. That kind of stinks. But it does feel like things are getting a little bit closer to time to make more changes. And that's where we've just been talking about MLB TV and regional networks and what channels they're on. And maybe all this regional sports things changes and we can get a central revenue stream going to MLB. They can show everybody's games. They can deal with Fubo and YouTube and DirecTV and whoever else. And they can decide who shows the games. All the money goes to them. They distribute it out semi-evenly. I don't see a time where you're going to get like the Yankees getting the same payment for regional sports as the Pirates. I think it'll be a lot closer, but if the Yankees are making more money and more people are watching, they should get more money. I think that's fair. But at the same time, I think they'll do everything they can to sort of even that out. And of course, as we all know, or at least if you didn't, you're gonna know now, any shared revenue money that comes in has limitations on what you can spend it on. Bob Nutting can't take any of that money home. If it's shared revenue, it gets spent on the players.
Dang it, Bobby.
So he can't take that stuff home with him. It goes straight into either players' payroll or player development. Or maybe, is there some of it international? I forget, but it's very specific what you can spend money on. Draft picks, maybe, things like that. But then again, they have caps there too. So I don't know. Either way. It doesn't change. It still doesn't happen very often. Let's go on to the last thing I want to do. Still World Series specific, but we're going to bring the Pirates back into this, okay? We're going to bring the Pirates back into this. There are Pirates on the Dodgers and on the Yankees, former Pirates. There are current Pirates who have a chance to get a ring in the World Series this year. So I wrote down some of these guys. I was looking at their rosters yesterday and a little bit today just to kind of finish it up. Current Yankees right now, Garrett Cole, Clay Holmes, and then two more guys. So they're on the active roster. They'll be playing in the World Series. Nick Birdie pitched 12 games for the Yankees this season. He was DFA'd and outrighted. He continued to play in the Yankees system. I think right now he's still in the Yankees system. He finished in AAA with them. But he pitched 12 games this year, so has a chance to get a ring if the Yankees win. And JT Brubaker didn't play for the Yankees this year, but he's been on the 40-man all year after the trade. So there's that. Current Dodgers, Anthony Bonda, Brent Honeywell, and Tyler Glasnow, who's injured too. But again, current Dodgers looking to get a ring. And then a couple other players who are current Pirates. Okay. One of them, Yohan Ramirez, pitched 27 games. I know we just put him in a minor league deal right now, but 27 games with the Dodgers this year. So current Pirate farmhand has a chance to if the Dodgers win, he gets a ring. And Dennis Santana pitched 23 games with the Yankees before the trade to get Dennis Santana. So there's two Pirates, essentially. And then there's a former Pirate who's also a former Yankee. This season, Enyel De Los Santos pitched 5 games with the Yankees, then went on to the White Sox. Those are our former Pirates, current Pirates who have a chance to get a ring. I don't know if you guys saw the Taylor Trammell thing that was kind of going around. Where does Taylor Trammell currently play? It says he's in the minors for the Yankees. Yeah. So he played in April. He was claimed by the Dodgers from the Mariners and played in 5 games with the Dodgers. April 18th, that was April 2nd. April 18th, put on waivers, and the Yankees picked him up. He played 5 games with the Yankees, and now he's in there. I don't even know if he's on the 40-man. Let's take a look. I don't think so. Oh, that was not. There we go. He's not on the 40-man. But Taylor Trammell played 5 games with the Yankees, too. And this guy is sitting at home watching the World Series, assuming he's going to have a chance to get a ring no matter what. He's just going to wait. What logo is my ring going to have on it? I know that there's not like an absolute when it comes to whether or not players like this get rings, but it's pretty even, right? I mean, the guys get rings if you did anything with the team. I didn't get to read the whole thing, but something was put up in The Athletic today about Taylor Trammell. And I think it came out this morning, I think. And it was about Taylor Trammell and the fact that he's played on both teams. And they started kind of going down through. I thought it was interesting. As I was skimming, I saw that Jalen Beeks in 2018 started some games, maybe a couple games, a handful of games with the Red Sox, and was absolutely terrible. Like horrible. Maybe he pitched, I don't remember what it was. Either way, he was really bad. And then they traded him to the Rays, and he had 2 starts against, or at least he pitched twice against the Red Sox that season. So he was terrible with the Red Sox, and then he went to the Rays and he was lights out in 9 innings. He had like a 2-something ERA against the Red Sox. So he did everything in his power to make sure that the Red Sox weren't good in 2018 and still got a ring because the Red Sox went on to beat the Dodgers in 2018 World Series. And this guy who essentially was the win for the Red Sox, he did absolutely nothing. He did worse than nothing. And that's it. He got a ring for it. So kind of interesting. Let's see here. We got a couple things in the chat here. About the same distance from St. Pete and Jacksonville, Ron said. So there's no team in Jacksonville, so it doesn't matter. But I see what Bucko and Mike said they could swing up to Jacksonville to play games. I see. The Rays could. Sorry, I'm still reading here. Ron says, imagine how sad Nutty would be if he had to buy World Series rings. Yeah. Again, we all know it. We all know that situation. We don't need to. I don't need to. There's enough said.
Dang it, Bobby.
So anyway, World Series starts tomorrow.
Friday is Hawaiian shirt day.
Put your Hawaiian shirt and jeans on if you want.
If you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
And get some pizza. We need pizza. I need a pizza soundbite. I need the Michael Keaton, what's the movie? Multiplicity. I like pizza, Steve. I need that quote. I need that quote for the soundboard so we can hit up some pizza. I'm going to get some pizza tomorrow. Of course, I'm still, those of you who have been listening for a while know the post-COVID thing. I'm still dealing with that a little bit. There are some things I can eat now. Now that I have beef and we eat a roast every week now, because I can have roast beef and mashed potatoes and gravy, which is all I needed to be happy in life. And so, for the most part. But so my pizza has no sauce on it and has no pepperoni on it. So I'm essentially just getting like cheese bread. But, for me, it's pizza. So I'm getting pizza tomorrow night. And we'll watch game 1. Pumped about game 1. We'll be back on Sunday after the first 2 games. We'll have an idea of what happened there. And then it's their day off. And then their day off is next Thursday. So we're lining up pretty good to not have to do a podcast with me sitting like this the whole time. For those of you just listening, I'm turned completely opposite of the camera to look back at my TV on the other side of my room. But yeah, that's it. So, you know what? I didn't do the picks. I got to do the picks. Did you guys put your picks in here? We did get one. Who'd we get? Doug said Yankees in 7. I like that pick. That's actually, I'm a cheater and I have a secondary pick, and my secondary pick is Yankees in 7. So I'll start with Jake's. He's picking the Dodgers in 7, which scares me to death. Absolutely scares me to death. Just because the Maz homer, Dodgers will be home for game 7. I don't like that. He called for a Teoscar Hernandez MVP. So Dodgers in 7, Teoscar Hernandez MVP, which I think is a great call too. I think Teoscar absolutely has the ability. We've got 6 MVPs. We've got some Cy Youngs in here. But a lot of times it's whoever's secondary guys are, right? Who's the secondary guys that are going to step up? On the Yankee side, it can't be Giancarlo, Judge, or Soto, right? Who's the next level guys who are going to show up and do big things? You could go Glaber. You could go Volpe. You could go Rizzo. You could go Austin Wells behind the plate. Like, those are some of the guys, Jazz Chisholm. Those are the guys that can make like a big impact. Carlos Rodon. Bucko Mike says Yanks in 6, Rodon MVP. So that would be, it's not Garrett Cole, right? But it's Carlos Rodon who makes the big impact. That's a great call too. Because that's that secondary player, kind of like on the Dodgers side, you have Teoscar. You got Tommy Edman, who just got the MVP of this championship series, is a great example of that. But you've got Kike Hernandez, you've got Max Muncy, you've got Will Smith. Yeah, that's probably your best chances outside of those guys to make that sort of impact, I guess. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but I feel like that's, and obviously Teoscar, if I didn't mention him. But then also, like, maybe some of these guys out of the bullpen, which I highly doubt that can even be something. And a starter on the Dodgers side, Flaherty, maybe. I mean, if you want to go to a starter and you think somebody has a chance, Flaherty starting game 1, maybe he's the guy. I don't see anybody else. I can't imagine. Bueller hasn't been Bueller, and Yamamoto only can go like 70-some pitches. So even if he pitches twice, I can't imagine 5-inning starts are going to get you an MVP. So yeah, it's one of those. Ron says, can't stand either team, but going Yanks in 5. I think it's totally like, I think this is one of those World Series that you can watch regardless of whether you like the teams and still be like, but there's a lot of stars here. There's a lot of stars. Hang on. Those of you on video know there's an itch and I just had to scratch it. I try not to scratch my nose on camera, even though I'm still doing it. I've got an itch right on the outside of this nostril. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, you can not be able to so you might not like either team and still enjoy this series because of the star power. Like I said, this kind of thing just doesn't happen very often. I have Dodgers in 6, and I was actually considering Teoscar for the MVP, but I'll change it just because he already called Dodgers in 7 with Teoscar. So, are we still live? Are we back? I know it's... think we're reconnected now. I'm not getting any... trying to check the feedback to see if I'm live now. Okay, I see it's playing. So I think we're good. Jazz loves the limelight. I think he will shine, Ron says. That's a great call too. Like I said, that's a big one. And Bucko Mike with a little update. 57-yard field goal, 41-6. Sauls from 57 yards, unless that's a pass. I don't think so. Man, they're just pouring it on now. 41-6. Anyway. Yeah. So bets, Dodgers in 6. That's my call. That's my call there. I love it though. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't want the Dodgers to win if it goes to Game 7. I want the Yankees to. Just for the fact that, we don't want Maz's home run matched. We don't want anybody else to ever be able to do that. That's our thing. Let's keep it our thing. We're good there. But yeah, that's all I got, man. That's all I got for this week. Let's play some music. Thanks for everybody that joined in on the chat. I know Pitt's on right now, but at this point in the season, in the off season, we're never doing anything without something going on. So we're absolutely going to be interfering with something. Appreciate you guys staying up late with us, with me. And I'm pretty sure Jake will be back on Sunday. Let's get Uncle Jake back on here. Thanks, guys. Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.